Welcome back into the studio for this installment of Journal Play. I do apologize about the length of this one. It quickly turned sideways, and something I've learned over the years is I can't walk away from it. Now I may walk away for an hour or two and then come back to it with fresh eyes or some other technique to see it differently and try and get myself out of the situation I got into and create something pleasing to the eye, satisfying for me. And but sometimes it takes a lot, and I threw a lot at this one, hence the length. But I think it's important to see that we all run into these situations. So I started this one out only knowing I wanted to do this Saran Wrap technique, where you lay down the acrylic paint while it's still wet, you add wrinkled Saran Wrap on top. Now, granted, that first piece I put down, I didn't have nearly enough wrinkles as I really had wanted to, but I went with it, and you'll see how I overcame that one here in a little bit. So that was really my only thought. Now, why I put the blue only on half of my page or 2/3 of the layout, I'm not quite sure, but that's where I went. And really, sometimes following our intuition is a good thing, even if it does lead us down a path we may not necessarily like. Because really, following my intuition here is the only thing that saved me. So I decided to take a piece of deli paper and do some foam stamping on it with just some titanium white paint. I needed to tone that blue down a little bit and add some white back into it, and so that's what you're going to see me doing right now.
Something's off, the way you look and how you pause when you talk. I think I said enough. You said you love for me something brand new. You said this is something you would never do. Here we are in a car. Let me see who you are, who you really are. Yeah. Don't need you here to say you're sorry.
And here you can see I laid those down, and initially I was just going to lay them in the blue, but I felt like I needed to kind of bring those two sections together, make something cohesive about them, something that was similar. In the end, I don't feel like this accomplished it at all, but it was a direction, and that's what I was led to do. So I, again, just working intuitively, went in that direction. And then I came in with some gesso on a plastic bag, trying to tone that blue down some more like I had hoped with the background. And I do feel like it sort of incorporated those deli paper blobs that I had placed on the page, so it kind of brought them together now as one unit, even though there's definitely not much pleasing to the eye here. At least at the time, it wasn't pleasing me. So I thought, I'm just gonna come in and do some work with, this is a General's charcoal pencil, and just thought I would come in and doodle just left-handed, non-dominant hand. And although wasn't thrilled with what was going on, I did like the circular motions that were happening in the background. So I did come in with some water to see what it felt like if those were more prominent, and that kind of led me into a new direction. I really felt like I needed to accentuate that horizon line and the doodle coming down into the beige area if I was going to make any progress with this of bringing these two sections together. I really wasn't feeling landscape, so I did struggle with that, and it wasn't almost until the end that I really came out of that one. So here I'm just following intuition, going with the circular pattern, trying to bring the two halves together some way, but follow some of the quote-unquote rules that I'd already set up. The top being cool colors, white, black, bottom being more warmer colors, the browns. Now here I am, had pulled out my Daler-Rowney ink in, I think it was raw sienna, and creating those circular patterns down below. Wasn't too thrilled with them. Kind of like the texture I found when I pulled that back. And that kind of started telling me I'm not invested in this one, and maybe it's because I'm not really, I don't have any actual texture in here. I have lots of visual texture, a little bit of actual texture with the wrinkling of working in this magazine. So my next thought was to go in with some texture. So I am going to pull out my decoupage mix text pack and start tearing some quasi-circular shapes out of these. Some are vintage, some are tea or coffee stained papers, and this one I'm tearing up right now actually has some of the blue writing, blue that will match that top portion. So as I get those ripped up, I'm going to actually start decoupaging those down with some gel, and I'm going to layer them big to small, trying to build up some additional texture down below. And for the first time with this piece, I started to enjoy it a little bit more. I was liking those layers of the decoupaging of the textural pieces and felt like I was drawn to add additional texture. So I've been playing a lot with the Liquitex Basic coarse texture gel, and this is one. I don't usually like mediums in tubes, but this one enabled me to actually get my fingers in it and use my fingers, which when I have that connection with the paper or whatever surface I'm working on, I have a tendency to work with my fingers. You all know that. It's no big surprise there, I'm sure. But generally, I don't do it a lot with my mediums. And so I went right in with this one. I felt like I needed to be on that surface. I needed to feel it more and be guided by that. So I pulled that out, and that is where I went next. And right here, I'm starting to get excited about this. I am, and you might notice, I don't know, it's sped up, so you may not notice, but it actually makes me kind of giddy. When I sprayed the water over the Lyra water-soluble graphite stick, and after I had dripped it down into those circular spaces, and it caught that coarse texture gel and spread, that was energizing to me. That pulled me in, and for the first time in this piece, I actually wanted to continue. It wasn't that I was coming away, stepping away for an hour or two, and then coming back and seeing what led me, but this time I was being drawn in. It was leading me now, without any of those techniques I need to use to assist me in getting beyond.
Don't need someone to save me, no, and don't come running to blame me. From miles away, I can tell that something's off. The way
So now I'm feeling like I really need to bring these two separate sections kind of together. Something that's the same on both ends of this journal layout. And so I decided to go ahead and do some stenciling and pulled out the Stencil Girl stencil and went in with some acrylic paint, and I actually lay this out. I didn't intentionally do it, but I really liked how it looked, and so I didn't go any further, but I went on an angle, top right to bottom left, and I really like how that pulls the two sections together a little bit. There's something that's similar on both sides, the same. Of course, I don't think it solved the issue, but I definitely felt like I was going in the right direction at that point. And when all said and done, I felt like I needed to do something to be looking at it differently. So I turned the page, turned it upside down, and went from there.
you said you love for me something brand new. You said this is something you would never do. Here we are in the car. Let me see who you are, who you really are. Yeah, don't need you here to say you're sorry. 'Cause if you're gonna
And now I really was just gonna get myself loosened up on the page, looking at it from this direction, and I needed to bite the bullet and bring these two sections together. And so I chose to go in with some Liquitex Heavy Body acrylic in the unbleached titanium and a catalyst wedge. I chose to go with a wedge instead of my fingers or a brush because I just did not I wanted to be loose. I wanted to be very loose, and stay uninvested in what had happened inside those circles. So in other words, if I was led to go over one of those circles, I needed to go over the circle. And if, I didn't want my appreciation for the texture that was happening there to start to guide my direction. I needed to stay in that intuitive space. And sometimes keeping it loose and free is the way to go, especially when coming in with such a dramatic step as I was here in toning that blue way back. And that really gave me the release. Just pushing that blue back and bringing the tonality of those two sides of the page, or the top and the bottom of the page together, really is the point at which I felt like I was coming back from some depths. And I had remembered that I had this unusual piece of lace, eyelet lace, from a shirt that I had gotten rid of. And I felt like it was just what I needed to transition the two sides of this, the top and the bottom of this journal page, and bring them together. And you can actually see me do a little jig in there. I was so excited about it. And that, from this point on, I was just in the moment, moving without question. I didn't have to take any breaks from arting to try and come back to it with new eyes, I was definitely in the zone.
Whenever do, here we are in the car. Let me see who you are, who you really are. Yeah, don't need you here to say you're sorry. 'Cause if you're gonna leave me, then just do it. Don't take it slow, don't be gentle. No, I just gotta know if you're gonna leave me, then just do it. Just do it. Don't need you here to say you're sorry. 'Cause if you're gonna leave me, then just do it. Don't take it slow, don't be gentle. No, I just gotta know if you're gonna leave me, then just do it. Don't need someone to save me, no, and don't come running to blame me. From miles away, I can tell that something's off. The way you look and how you pause when you talk, I think I said enough. You said your love for me something brand new. You said this is something you would never do. Here we are in the car. Let me see who you are, who you really are. Yeah. Don't need you here to say you're sorry. 'Cause if you're gonna leave me, then just do it. Don't take it slow, don't be gentle. No, I just gotta know if you're gonna leave me, then just do it. Let's be honest for a second. Yeah, you're being over your head, babe. 'Cause there is no one other than me that can make you feel the way you feel when I hold you. I think I said enough. You said your love for me something brand new. You said this is something you would never do. Here we are in the car. Let me see who you are, who you really are. Yeah, don't need you here to say you're sorry. 'Cause if you're gonna leave me, then just do it. Don't take it slow, don't be gentle. No, I just gotta know if you're gonna leave me, then just do it. Just do it. Don't need you here to say you're sorry. 'Cause if you're gonna leave me, then just do it. Don't take it slow, don't be gentle. No, I just gotta know if you're gonna leave me, then just do it. Don't need someone to save me, no, and don't come running to blame me. From miles away, I can tell that something's off. The way you look and how you pause when you talk, I think I said enough.